Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, as we're here for the first match preview of the season, Watford FC facing Southampton at Vicarage Road on Sunday afternoon, televised live on Sky Sports Football. I am very, very excited. It's great to be back. Great to be in the routine of it all once again. We of course saw Alessio Dionisi's side in action at Vicarage Road last weekend against Crawley Town. Mark Boller winning that late on with a screamer. And whilst that was a good test and it was an opportunity for more players to get minutes, that is nothing in comparison to what's to come in August and early September. Opta, the football analytics company, released their power rankings very recently, and Watford statistically have the hardest start of any side. Saints, Wrexham, West Ham. That's followed by Swansea City and West Bromwich Albion away from home. So I'm a little bit worried, but every team starts on 0 points. There's 46 games to be played. And with the expanded playoffs this year, who knows, anything could happen. Before we get into the game and team news, there's a few things to speak about, including the recently held fan forum at the training ground and some transfer news involving a former West Ham striker, Mikel Antonio. We'll get onto that in just a moment. We'll start on the fan forum. These events always controversial for a number of reasons. I never choose to attend myself. I've had plenty of opportunities through the club in seasons gone by, and I don't think it's right I apply and potentially take the place of someone else. So I like to observe these events from afar, and plenty of interesting quotes and tidbits to come out of this. Luke Dowling, Gianluca Nani, Matty Pollock, and our new head coach Alessio Dionisi in attendance. I think the general consensus was, and of course I'm not quoting verbatim here, is that we are struggling financially to compete with other championship clubs for domestic signings. It seems like Dionisi is going very hard on the need to recruit at least 2 new centre-backs, and I think fans were very pressing in their questions towards Gianluca and Luke Dowling, especially with that subject. For me, it is negligence of the highest level to be going into our first competitive fixture of the season against a really tough side with just Matty Pollock and Kevin Caben as the 2 senior options there. It's unacceptable. We shouldn't be in this position. And I feel like we've put all our eggs in that Stephen Mfuni basket. Max Allain is about to sign for Burnley imminently. They beat Watford to his signature after offering a higher wage and loan fee, which means we are struggling for numbers there. Travis Akamia, probably the next one off the conveyor belt, but unfortunately for him, he has just sustained a serious injury to his foot and is undergoing a period of rehabilitation. That might take 6 to 8 weeks according to reports. So Watford potentially risking 9 points in August up for grabs if we don't bring in a couple of marquee signings in that position. Now, come the end of the transfer window, we very well may have a strong centre-back core at the club. That would be great and the perfect resolution, ideally, to end off our summer business. But I don't like risking points already from game one if one of Kevin Caben or Matty Pollock sustain a serious injury, and who knows what can happen in football. It's very unpredictable. We're relying on kids, essentially, who have never played really above National League level to come in and play against Premier League quality players. Let me just reiterate the fixtures to come. Southampton, Wrexham, West Ham. These are all teams with quality squads with depth and huge finances behind them. And Watford do not have that privilege anymore. The times have gone when we had parachute payments. We used to be a consistent Premier League side, and now we are struggling to even fulfill a senior quota in the Championship. So very concerned to hear that come out of the fan forum. There is, however, news on the striker front, and former West Ham forward Mikel Antonio is training at the club right now and has been pictured in training. Alessio Dionisi taking a look at him, and if he impresses, he'll sign on a permanent contract. Fascinating, this one to discuss. There's already been wildly contrasting views on social media. Some people up here and loving the idea, some people very much fully against it, given what's happened in the past couple of seasons. Let's address the negatives first. Let's get them out of the way. And as we all know, Antonio was involved in a very serious car crash where he nearly lost his life. It was a major breaking news story at the time, and he has done remarkably well to even walk again, let alone have the prospect of playing professional football. And we have to say a massive props to Antonio for getting his body into the position where he is able to train with Watford and potentially sign with us on a short-term contract. Now, I think we all have to be very clear in terms of our expectations and what we as a club are going to get out of this deal. He would not have been my ideal first choice candidate, and I'm quite surprised this has even taken place, because it's a contrast to what Luke Dowling has spoken about in previous weeks. Luke Dowling has said that he wants a different profile of striker, maybe a quicker, nippier player to get in behind and run those channels. And whilst Antonio, in his prime days at West Ham, did do that, he was running those channels, he was getting his body between the player and the ball, really good hold-up play. He was capable of that prior to his massive injury. Nowadays, I don't think that's going to be the case, and I don't want to write him off too early. I've not even seen him step foot on a pitch since he left West Ham, but his only experience in football since then was 4 games in the Middle East, where it seems like he struggled to get any sort of consistency. So yeah, massive reservations over this one. You would assume if he does sign a contract, using our common sense here, it would be highly incentivized. So when he makes an appearance or scores a goal, there'll be a massive bonus there. That's naturally what happens when you sign players who have had big injuries before. The upsides, though, are massive. He was loved in the Premier League. He is West Ham's all-time Premier League top goal scorer. He has experience in this division, the Championship, and he's a leader. He's someone Luka and Mamadou Doumbia can look up to as someone to learn their trade off. And I think that's more so the thinking behind this deal. I think if Antonio does sign, which looks likely given the club have provided photos to the press, I wouldn't expect him to start every single game. I would more so expect the best bit of Antonio to be behind the scenes, behind closed doors. What happens in training? What do Luka Kiramgard and Mamadou Doumbia take away from him? And of course, when he does come onto the pitch, he's a massive threat from set pieces, corners, free kicks. If he does get in the penalty box, he might be a poacher for us. We just need someone with that little bit of nous who can take opportunities when it comes to them. And hopefully, fingers crossed, Antonio is the man. Given the position we're in, Watford are having to be very clever with their financial transactions this window. We've seen the business between Udinese and us ramp up significantly compared to seasons gone by. And whilst it's very frustrating, and I'm with you on that, it can also result in net positive signings. Jordan Zamora, in the current circumstances, normally would have been unattainable to us, but because he was brought to Udinese, that possibility remains, and we've got ourselves potentially a starting left back there with Premier League and previous Championship experience. So I try to be as balanced as possible nowadays. I think when I was a bit younger, I was very much spouting a load of nonsense without much reason behind it. But look, we are where we are, and as fans, there's not much we can do right now to change that. I would say, though, that I do find it slightly bizarre that the only bit of money we have spent this summer has actually been in the goalkeeper department, which was quite strong anyway with Egil Selvik there. He's now made the move to Stade Brest in France. Federico Ravaglia, now the number one. He's on loan from Bologna. And we've just signed Sam Walker from Bradford City, who again does bring EFL experience with him and is a really, really good character as well. So I don't think this window has been necessarily as bad as we all made out initially. The massive frustration right now, though, that does need to be resolved is that striker, whether it be Mikel Antonio or someone else, and most importantly at centre-back, that has to be done ASAP. And as I said, I'll reiterate my point from earlier, it's completely unacceptable from everyone involved in recruitment that we haven't got anyone there in that position to compete with both Matty Pollock and Kevin Caben. It's negligence. I think that's the perfect word to describe it. On to Southampton then. Not too much team news to bring you. I think the most notable topic is Kwadwo Bar. The club releasing details on the website this afternoon suggesting he has a minor thigh issue that he felt following training on Thursday afternoon. He'll be assessed prior to the game. Jeremy Ngakia also in full training this week. I reckon it probably comes slightly too soon for him to start, but potentially for Wrexham we may see Ngakia back in his standard position at right back. So in terms of my predicted 11 based on that news, assuming Ngakia doesn't start and Kwadwo Bar isn't in the 11, this is what I would go with. I would start with Federico Ravaglia in goal, Omar Traore at right back, Matty Pollock and Kevin Caben as our only two senior options. That writes itself. Mark Boller at left back I would go with, but Jordan Zamora I would love to see soon. A nice half an hour cameo maybe would be good. In midfield, I'm gone with a 4-2-3-1. Of course, it can vary slightly both in and out of possession, but that's what I've gone with for my 11. I'll go Imran Louza and Eduardo Bove, and I'm fully aware that Imran Louza probably won't play, but the club haven't stated otherwise on the website. So my assumption is right now, Imran Louza is available for selection. So I've gone with Imran and Eduardo Bove as the two slightly deeper midfielders. Just ahead, I've gone with Ika Bravo. On the right-hand side, if Kwadwo Bar can't feature from the start, I think Amin Nabazada certainly deserves a go. And on the left, it has to be Othmane Mama. Rocco Vata still returning from injury, like with Ngakia, probably not ready from the outset just yet. But it'll be really nice over on that left-hand side when we've got both Rocco Vata and Othmane Mama competing for that position. Up front, controversial from me, potentially, I've gone with Mamadou Doumbia. Now, there's several reasons why I've gone with Mamadou Doumbia. Firstly, as you know, I'm just not a massive Luka Kiramgard fan. I love strikers who have that little bit more pace about them. And I do feel against quality opposition like this, where naturally we assume they'll dominate the ball, You want someone who has that work rate, who can press from the front, put defenders under pressure and get them facing their own goal. And when you look at our two options right now, Doumbia is far more suited to that stylistically than Luka Kiramgard is. Now, what an option we've got with Luka to bring off in the second half and spam crosses into the box. That remains, of course, but I think from the start, Doumbia is the go-to option here. All right, score prediction time. There's loads of potential narratives heading into this one. I think the main being Spygate and the continuing investigation into Tonda Eckert's conduct. As it stands right now at the time of recording, he will be in the dugout for this game. That could change at any point given the FA's imminent ruling. But yeah, I'm expecting some creative chance, hopefully, from those of you in attendance at Vicarage Road. We've had a few good opening day results in recent years. I remember going back to the Premier League where we beat Aston Villa in a thriller. Cucho Hernandez and Emmanuel Dennis, I believe, bagging in that one. A couple of years ago, I think under Ismail, we beat QPR by 4-0 at Vicarage Road. So we do tend to start pretty well, and then as we know, as we get into Christmas, the new year, the January transfer window, that's when it starts to fall off. I do think this year, given the general mood around the club and the difficulty of those opening fixtures, it could be slightly different. But I'm not going to predict a Watford loss for this one, especially on the opening day. I'm going to go Watford 2, Southampton 2, off Mane Marma to bag a goal and Eduardo Bove to score a screamer from midfield. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discussed in the comments section down below, whether that be Antonio, the fans forum, our predicted 11, or just the general feeling of the season to come. It's great to read all of your comments, and make sure to interact with the Watford Way across all social platforms. We're over on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and back here on YouTube. So if you are on those platforms, drop us a follow. Other than that, it's time to let you go. I'll see you after the Southampton game for our post-match reaction. Fingers crossed, touch wood, we'll be walking away from Vicarage Road with a big fat W and 3 points in our pocket. Bye-bye.